One day somebody does something unspeakable to someone else, to someone you hardly knew, and you do something about it, because you can.
This story comes to us from ABC News. A New York City police officer was convicted yesterday of second-degree manslaughter after he tossed a picnic cooler filled with drinks at a fleeing suspect, causing the man to fatally crash his motorized scooter. I remember when this happened. Judge Guy Mitchell handed down the guilty verdict yesterday in Bronx criminal court in the case against Sergeant Eric Duran in the 2023 death of Eric Dupree. Said the fact that the defendant was a police officer makes no difference, the judge said. He went on, he was treated as any other defendant. Duran didn't appear to react when the decision was handed down, but members of Dupree's family cried. He faces up to 15 years in prison and will be sentenced on March 19th of this year. Now, the 38-year-old, who is the first New York Police Department officer in years to be tried for killing someone while on duty, also faced an assault charge. But Mitchell dismissed the count earlier, saying prosecutors failed to show he intended to hurt Dupree. He threw a... Duran had pleaded not guilty and opted for a bench trial, meaning the judge, not a jury, would render the verdict. He should have went with a jury. Authorities say that on August 23rd of 2023, Dupree sold drugs to an undercover officer in the Bronx and then fled. Duran, who had been part of a narcotics unit conducting the operation, is seen in security footage grabbing a nearby red cooler and quickly hurling it at Dupree in an attempt to stop him. The container, full of ice, water, and sodas, struck Dupree, who lost control of his scooter, slammed into a tree, and crashed onto the pavement before landing under a parked car. Prosecutors said the 30-year-old, who was not wearing a helmet, sustained fatal head injuries and died almost instantaneously. I remember when this story broke. Duran, testifying in his own defense this week, said he only had seconds to react and was trying to protect other officers from Dupree as he sped towards them. That's the excuse. He told the court he immediately tried to render aid after seeing the extent of Dupree's injuries. He was going to crash into us, Duran said. I didn't have time. All I had time for was to try again to stop or to try to get him to change directions. That's all I had time to think of. But prosecutors maintained Dupree didn't pose a threat and that his death wasn't accidental but the result of Duran's reckless and negligent and intentional actions, thus manslaughter. They suggested the officer had enough time to warn others to move, but instead tossed the cooler in anger and frustration. Dupree was a Bronx resident and a father of 3 who worked as a delivery driver. He had come to New York from Puerto Rico as a teen. State Attorney General Letitia James' office, which investigates civilian deaths during encounters with law enforcement, prosecuted the case. Duran is currently suspended with pay. He's still getting paid, baby. Pending the outcome of the trial, according to the police department. Wonder if he's getting paid now. He's been convicted. And on March 19th of this year, he'll be sentenced. He's looking up to 15 years. He'll do probably 7 and get out. I don't know, or 8, right? He has to do so much. But the thing is he said, well, I didn't have time to think. I was just trying to stop him. And, the judge disagreed. What I was going to get back to. Yeah. But he said, I didn't intend to hurt him. I was just trying to stop by throwing a huge cooler at him. By throwing this cooler full of, and he's riding on a little scooter. He's getting away on a scooter. And let's say he's alleged to be trying to buy drugs from an undercover narcotics agent officer. Let's say that's all he was doing was buying drugs. And then he jumps on his scooter to drive away. Get his license plate and catch him later or go after him. But this cop throws a cooler full of soda at his scooter. What did you think was going to happen? He's on a scooter. It's like those cops in cars when the guy's on the motorcycle and they go boom with their car and knock him off the motorcycle. What do you think's going to happen? And I get it. Look, if someone's breaking the law, they're breaking the law. Okay, and if they run from the cops after breaking the law, FAFO, I get that. But what this cop did, in my humble opinion, he did not use sufficient level use of force. He went excessive. I'm sorry. This isn't a guy that waved a gun at someone or slashed a knife at someone. This is a guy buying drugs. You know, he's buying stuff to put in his body. I don't know. And if it's against the law, fine. But, and sorry for talking so much. I just want to get the point across that, look, a cooler filled with soda and ice is not part of your tactical equipment. That's not part of your use of force equipment. Pepper spray, maybe a taser, okay? But a cooler and you grab it off the sidewalk and you throw it at the guy, that's not the use of force. That's you getting pissed off because the guy got away from you. The judge is right. The prosecutor's right. Anger and frustration. I don't know. I want to know what all of you think. I know I'm going to get some Blue Line supporter that's going to go, FAFO, dude, you don't break the law. I already said that. But the cop, two wrongs don't make a right, do they? Let me know.